Yo everyone, welcome back to more Ori Rando action with a match between Eiko and Shed. I am Lurking Assassin and joined with me here is Grimelius. Yo, what's up?
Not a whole lot. How about you?
Yeah, same. Just excited for this match.
Yeah, this is a 1-0 match. Back in round 1, Shed beats Skull Blocka and Eiko beats OG. So we don't need to rehash those particular matches, but this is a 1-0 match, which means the winner is going to be only one win away from advancing to the elimination brackets, and the loser, well, won't be, but they'll have enough matches to try to get there.
Yeah, like again, this match is mostly exciting in my opinion because like I know Shed and Eiko have some sort of rivalry going on, and then like also they're both great random players. So, like, I think it's going to be a very close, hopefully, matchup, and just overall very exciting.
What's interesting, too, on Eiko's side, Eiko has contributed a pretty enormous amount to the randomizer as a whole. The original program, like, the modification to the Ori DLL was made by Sigma. But since then, other people have contributed, including Eiko, who's created a lot of helper tools, like an interactive map, and he's sort of added more experimental changes as well in the form of new pickups and whatnot. So Eiko is, that doesn't necessarily translate into raw rando skill or anything, but Eiko is still a very pivotal figure at the moment in the Ori randomizer as a whole.
Yeah, when it comes to rando, like Eiko is very knowledgeable, but then again, like Shed has more experience doing like regular runs, like all skills and stuff, so he has an advantage in like maybe an advantage in like execution and such, but Eiko still has great execution with a lot of knowledge, even though he doesn't really run anything other than rando, which is what he's dedicated all of his time in this game into.
Right. I think that the technical term to describe Shed is that he's stupid good at the video game.
Yes, he
Shed
really is.
Actually was one of our backup runners for the 4-way all-skills race at the beginning of this year for AGDQ. So yeah, very, very good. Eiko had just a little bit of trouble skipping his initial prologue, which is going to cost him just a handful of seconds. It's basically over. I don't think Eiko can make it up from that. I don't know that we've ever seen a rando comeback of more than a few seconds.
Yeah, come on, it's rando. Like, it's all determined with the first few seconds, that execution to the first skill tree.
Well, we got a map stone from the first pickup. Mapstones being progressive means that whenever you get a mapstone, you may or may not need it. You can't ever fully write off mapstones entirely until you're in go mode.
Yeah, like mapstones, because you never know what could be on the last mapstone or the first mapstone. You can't really ignore them because what if progression is at the end? So you gotta keep track of them throughout the whole seed, almost. And
yeah, second pickup being a health cell. There's a lot of things to watch out for in the early part of a rando seed. Of course, the flashiest pickups to get are skills. You get your bashes and your charge jumps and whatever it might be. But resources are vital, and they are necessary. You need a minimum number of keystones to get through the game. Even with all the fancy sequence breaks in the world, you do still need some minimum number of keystones. You need some... Well, technically, you could get by with 3 health, but you need clean water. There's a whole mess of potential scenarios.
Yeah, and even aside of just the water, like sometimes you want to do damage boosts. They're not required, at least not like big ones where you need to take a lot of damage, but some areas you really want, like for example Sorrow, you want to have a lot of health. You could make it through with 3 HP for the most part, but it's nice to have that 1 or 2 damage boosts.
Sorry to half interrupt you there. This next pickup from Shed on the right has to be progression. It's clean water.
Clean water.
And the reason it had to be progression is that there's only 4 pickups available from spawn, and the first 3 weren't progression.
So you gotta be something here at the last long flippers pickup. And it's just 2 keystones.
That's kind of nice. That still keeps things nice and linear. I was almost expecting to get the Grotto or Swamp Teleporter, given that we have that mapstone, but thankfully, Shed and Eiko will be able to continue progressing over towards the wall jump area and activate the Glades map altar once we dip down into that little alcove.
Yeah, and also just the fact that they already got through that door, that opens a good amount of pickups here, so they could get a skill anytime now. There's wall jump from Shed.
Wall jump is a nice skill in general to have. It's also particularly friendly in this wall jump zone because it's going to allow traversal through more pickups. You won't have to leave anything behind as far as some of the areas will hit along the path to wall jump.
Yeah, that is true. And again, as we kind of mentioned earlier, there's still a linear seed, but Jed's already pulling up ahead a little bit just from that like pure execution things.
I was going to say, yeah, Eiko lost maybe 2 or 3 seconds on the opening prologue skip, but Shed is further ahead than that. And that is about what we expected. If our runners...
Okay,
Ouch.
he had a save.
Yeah.
It's not too far back.
I'm glad Eiko made a save. That could have been much worse.
Oh, yeah, he could have went way, way back.
Yeah, to finish my thought, if our runners find something like dash, or especially we get the ability to do stomp cancels or some of the more advanced strategies for Ori speedrunning, I would expect Shed to maybe even pull further and further ahead, depending on how the seed plays out.
Yeah. Like I also know, like, from what I've heard from Eiko is like he hopes that it's not such seed where like it's kind of linear and based on execution, because he knows that Shed has an advantage on him on that side, and he hopes it's more of a puzzling seed where someone could get lost or gets caught by rando.
Sure. Well, speaking of skills, Shed also found double jump. It's, I believe, the upper keystone or the experience orb. It's one of the things up here where Eiko will be heading momentarily. So Eiko will get his double jump to... This is sort of an obvious question, but just to ask it, where do you think their next destination is with double jump and wall jump?
I mean, I don't think they have anything other than Blackroot unless Shed gets something there. It's a keystone.
I was laughing at the camera thing for a minute. Shed did a save anywhere trick, and now his camera's a little messed up. It'll fix itself in a minute, though, I think.
Actually, I think Shed's deciding to go to Spirit Caverns first, which is actually a better choice by him, more than likely, because it is more pickup dense. But then again, Blackroot has that tree, so he will have to go there eventually.
This is a good point by Sigma. Shed currently has 5 keystones, which means he could go to Blackroot, or he could... Oh, and he got Grenade. I missed that.
Yeah, I missed that as well. I am not sure when he got Grenade, but
it might have been from the wall jump tree, and we might have missed
it. He reloaded.
Because, yeah, well, Shed did the save anywhere and reloaded, so we might have just missed the pop-up, but that's big. That's big news.
Yeah, I know they have plant breakage. They have access to grenade lock pickups in case one of those was, an important key or progression.
I like this play from Shed a lot. We didn't cover it a moment ago because we both missed the fact that he had Grenade. But yeah, check this out. On the left, Eiko is going into Spirit Caverns before Shed, although Shed may decide to make the dip over here because it's such an item-dense zone before going to Blackroot, maybe.
It's 5 pickups with, relatively fast time to get them.
This is where having double jump and wall jump matters, because there's this one ability cell up top which you can reach with a variety of skills, but not with wall jump only.
Yeah, again, that's another... It's possible to, there's a small ledge to get to that cell where you could wall jump off of it and then double jump up, but Eiko was not able to find that, little sweet spot where he could wall jump off, and he wasn't able to get to that cell, so he better hope it's not something important, because it could give Shed, who I know knows how to do that trick, a very big advantage if it's, dash or something.
It's a harder jump than you might think. Ori's walls are often... very, very literal. If you see a curve, that's exactly what the collision geometry on that wall looks like.
Yeah, it's and it's also aside from that, it's also a very, very small ledge that you cannot see because it's behind the foreground.
Yeah, Shed didn't get it first try either. There's not exactly one spot you can do it. There's a few spots. You can see how finicky this jump is. No disrespect to Eiko, but I mean, if Shed is also having trouble with it, it's a hard jump.
Yeah. From what I think he's going a little too high, but then again, I am not too sure. There could be another spot. There it is, and it's just an alert, so not too catastrophic for Eiko, thankfully.
Lurking, do you think Shed is going to continue through this door, given that he's already been to charge flame through the bottom route?
I doubt it, because it's 4 keystones that he doesn't need to use up. Keystones are kind of valuable, so even though he has a good amount right now, well, I guess he decided to open it.
Yeah. He was up to 8 keystones, so this seed has been just ultra heavy as far as keystones are concerned, which is very good news. We need a minimum of 6 more. 4 to get to the bash tree and 2 to get to the stomp tree, with possibly an additional 4 on top of that to open the door to the charge jump tree if we can't get around the other way.
Well, there's also the double jump tree, which needs to...
Oh, yeah, you're right. So actually, minimum of 8 keystones, maybe as many as 12.
Just that Ronki is being a little rude to Shed, but he had a save right there.
This is where the low health kind of comes into play. As you said, with the save, it's not too impactful.
So, speaking of the 4 keystones they will need for Sorrow, they were more than likely not needed anymore. Depending on what other skills they get, but this makes getting to the charge jump tree very much easier than having to go from the bottom of Sara.
What do you think about... That was interesting. Shed used a grenade to open up the long swim and valley entrance and decided to not go there. Maybe it was a force of habit. Maybe he just decided to open the door just in case and then changed his mind.
He probably just opened it because he was already up there, and in case he needed it for later, it's already there.
Mm-hmm. Shed is also deciding to watch the Grove cutscene in order to properly unlock the teleporter and avoid a rather annoying sign bug.
Yeah, Shed is also one of the people that, like, I think I remember him saying, like, he's never going to skip this cutscene. It never pays off in his opinion, so... Meanwhile, Eiko is heading to Blackroot now, which I think Shed might be following him soon, but then again, he could also go around Spider Sack area.
He could. Blackroot, to me, is the more obvious play. That doesn't mean it's the correct play, to be clear. It's just the potentially easier play. But with Grenade, going around here is an option too, although... we should point out that if Shed goes around this way, he won't be able to get everything. Specifically, there's a 4 energy door, unless he looks out and gets a Mega Energy.
Yeah, Eiko actually didn't have enough ability points to skip the cutscene, so he decided to just go somewhere else instead of taking the 20 or 30 seconds to watch that cutscene at the beginning of Blackroot.
Well, there's another important thing we need to bring up, which I hadn't actually realized until just now, even though it's kind of obvious. Eiko still hasn't been to the wall jump tree, which means that he doesn't have a grenade. I'm sure he'll be going there right now, but Eiko decided to go up into Spirit Caverns before dropping down.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting choice. I guess he was already there, and he felt like, you know, I don't need to backtrack. And again, he doesn't know he's getting grenades, so for all he knows, he might have had to go through Spirit Caverns again to get to the Charge Flame tree, so that might have been a good choice by him.
Guess we will see. Shed is continuing to be quite thorough. He's going to open up a grenade pickup and probably make the save in order to save Scum this, meaning that he can go off to the left, he can check the pickup, and then if it's nothing, rather than wasting the time backtracking, he can just reload.
Yeah, that's actually like such an important, like such a good strat to use in Rando, because as you see, without dash or without anything, like getting to that cell maybe took him like 20 seconds or something, which is not something you want to backtrack for.
It's pretty impactful, but our energy count is still very, very low. What is Shed sitting on? 1, I think.
Yeah, I think it looks like 1 to me.
Yeah.
So the game gave them that 1 early health cell, and then after that, it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna give you any more like health or energy.
What do you think of the play that Shed's making to go around this long way into Swamp rather than going directly to Blackroot?
I actually think it's possibly a good choice because if I'm not mistaken, he didn't sequence break anything. And also, Blackroot is definitely slower. It'd be nicer to do it if you have, like, dash or bash. Or actually, he has a grenade. It could be relatively fast. But, again, it's just... I think this area has more pickups in less time, so...
Well, I mean,
Blackroot's not going to go anywhere.
It's going to be a straight-up gamble. One way or another, we must go through Blackroot. And if you're going to go through Blackroot, it doesn't make sense to not check all the pickups, especially with wall jump and double jump. I do think I like that Shed is sort of putting it off since he has the availability to check all of these additional pickups anyway. Maybe Shed is even hoping for a Jet Seed where he could skip some of the pickups in Blackroot, but as I said, that would be quite rare.
Yeah, so far it doesn't seem like a Jet Seed. Like, I don't think we have any clues yet. No, we do not. So, for all we know, we could have, like, a Water Vein in Corridor or something.
Let's pay attention over to the left to Mr. Eikocastsholy, who... I think won his first race largely based on checking this long swim in Valley. So Eiko, I guess, maybe isn't comfortable doing the double jump around the log to the right, so he's going to go around the long way. We'll see. I think he's probably going to check the long swim.
Yeah, like, again, they have clean water. I would say it's honestly not too bad of a decision to do that, just because of the fact that they do have clean water. So that item... I mean, the pickup right there could possibly be Stomper.
Yeah, it's like anything. It's a one-off. It's a particularly slow one-off that virtually never makes an appearance because to get there without an enormous amount of damage boosting requires clean water, and it requires a grenade, and most of all, it requires a big time sink. If this pays off, though, I guess Shed did open the door, so he's certainly aware of it, but I'd be surprised to see Shed pop back here anytime soon.
Yeah. He has a lot of different places to go. I know.
Good save. Good save.
He did save up there. But yeah, again, I'm pretty sure Eiko did say, like, his hope is that he checks that one off that Shed is not gonna possibly check, and then it being something big. Like, he's kind of gambling on that. So I am not surprised to see him actually going for it.
Now, Eiko is being not even more thorough. Apart from this one Valley Swim pickup, Shed has been extremely thorough as well. Shed, even when he was in the Iceless area, decided to go dip into Horror Fields to check the first health cell there. Now heading down into Grotto, so Shed definitely has an advantage as far as number of pickups checked, although, of course, you never know which specific pickups are going to matter.
Yeah, Shed has been extremely efficient in checking everything. Like, he's been moving cleanly. His routing has been amazing from what I could see. So he's playing the seed very well so far, in my opinion.
Okay, good. I was going to say Eiko did get his save, and I like him making the save there. The reason is that Eiko currently does not have the ability to go up over the top, which means he has to swim, and making the swim is pretty precise, to be honest.
I don't think I've seen it done without Stomp, but
it can probably be done. I guess let's just hope for Eiko's sake that it can be done. Shed on the right, meanwhile, is doing some water checking of his own, heading into the Death Gauntlet. Frankie breaks the floor down. He goes and gets a Mega Health.
Okay, it looks like... Okay, oh, he came from the other side. I was getting lost a little bit, but yeah, he just checked everything he could, and I'm assuming he's just gonna, like, drop down to double jump 3 at this point.
I would assume so. This is, I think, possible. It also might be possible to make this with a double jump. Eiko is faced with a rather tough decision regarding sunk cost. Do you continue on until you get this, or do you at some point sort of give up and say, I probably can't get this, even if it's possible?
I'm wondering, could you possibly glitch this lever the way you do the Blackroot one to make it stay open if you rekindle?
Maybe. I never come here. I have no idea.
Fair. Okay, he backed off. That's really unfortunate for Eiko, because he did like put in a few minutes into that, and he wasn't able to actually get the pickup.
I guess we have to hope that that doesn't matter, such that the wasted time was at least not something he'll have to repeat. Although if he has to come back here later, presumably he'll have extra verticality or stomp to get through more easily.
Anyway, Shed just checked another grenade underwater pickup, which would make sense given that you have grenade and clean water, but it was nothing. He decided to just reload, and now he's going to Blackroot without going to double jump first, which I didn't expect.
Well, I guess I'm a little surprised about that as well, but again, there's a lot of locations where we have to hit where the specific order you do them in is going to be sort of a negligible time difference, probably in a seed like this, since with double jump and wall jump, you can get so many pickups without leaving them behind. So Shed can be extremely thorough. He can check everything along his path.
Yeah, like at the end, it's basically going to be the same speed unless like he finds something like dash or bash in Blackroot, which could make Grotto faster. But in the end, you never know that. It's kind of like a gamble. Which one should I go first? It would either not matter or make a big difference. But
I enjoy watching Shed's execution in this area. This is a zone that's going to be very similar in some ways to the All Skills version. Not exactly the same, but very similar.
Yeah. As you can see right here, he just ult R's, which unfortunately you can't do in All Skills.
Shed is just running away with this, though. Shed hasn't really found the next crucial thing yet, but he's checked so much that Eiko is probably just going to have to repeat. We do see Eiko going around roughly the same route that Shed did, although now quite delayed because he decided to spend that time with the long swim and valley entrance.
Yeah, and given the fact that Shed didn't find any like important progression items, I feel like it's going to be somewhere here in Blackroot.
I'll point one thing out as well. Shed, I think, might have forgotten that you can actually use grenade to activate that, or he didn't forget it and he's just going over to the left.
I don't want to check that pickup anyways.
Yeah, so. I don't want to assume that Shed forgot something when he might just be making a calculated decision.
Yeah, okay, he did forget.
Cool. Well, that's another thing. As we talked about before, Shed is just being very, very efficient. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find any rando runner who would be clearing, assuming you hit the same number of pickups in the same order. I think Shed is doing it extremely efficiently.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't think I've seen him make any execution errors. I don't think he's had any bad deaths, not that I'm aware of.
I haven't seen a death that I can recall.
Yeah.
Let's check out the left on Eiko. What's he up to? He's going for a nice evening swim. Yeah. Then he's going to pop up, probably go get the Swamp Teleporter or the Grotto Teleporter, maybe even both. We'll see how thorough Eiko decides to be. He may be feeling some pressure after the wasted time in Valley Entrance.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, he more than likely notices that he was behind, so I don't expect him to be too thorough, and I feel like he might, just try to find the next progression, like go to trees and hope for something good. That's what I would expect, but then again, Eiko could decide differently.
It's right back down to that idea of sunk cost. Is Eiko has wasted a lot of time, but is he doing himself a disservice? What I'm trying to say is that it's a bit of a crapshoot. All you can do in Rando is try to play your best.
Yeah.
And for obvious reasons, you can't watch your opponent. So Eiko probably assumes he's behind, in this case correctly, but he can't actually know that for sure.
Yeah, and we just got our first clue. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, it's Sunstone and Grotto. So Shed has already checked a little bit of Grotto.
We haven't gone into lower Grotto that I've seen. So that's left Grotto has a lot of pickups. We have to go to double jump anyway, so it's somewhat statistically likely that the Sunstone ends up being just along the regular path to double jump.
Yeah.
That one I doubt will be hard to find, to be honest.
The one, like, maybe possibly dangerous thing would be the 4 energy door, given how starved in energy they are.
You're not wrong. I was thinking that as well. However, both Shed and Eiko are both effectively equally starved. Even for all of Shed's checking, he hasn't found even a single energy cell.
Yeah, exactly. Like this seed is just not being nice when it comes to energy, which they're probably glad at this point that they got Grenade instead of like Charge Flames, just because of that free cost. Like, it allows them to be able to break everything they want for free cost. And
I think that's correct, yes. Eiko, it looked like on the left was going for a double jump to go grab an experience orb above the double lasers and didn't make it, which may or may not matter. Of course, Eiko doesn't currently know that the Sunstone is in this area, although we do. We also know, because Shed has already been here, that the Sunstone isn't going to be in any of these pickups right away.
Yeah. Shed is just kind of watching the cutscene to get the Blackroot teleporter, and I expect him to just kind of turn in that Mapstone and probably just head over to Lower Grotto at this point.
Yeah, worth pointing out, and thanks to Sigma for bringing this up, Shed found both his second and third energy cells down in that Blackroot area, so we're 1 away from 4. So as you said, Lurking, if the Sunstone ends up being locked in that vault, if you want to call it that, down in Grotto, those energy cells matter.
Yeah, and at this point, Shed could glitch that door, if I'm not mistaken.
He could. He probably won't want to.
Right, there's still these 2 pickups here that he didn't check. Kind of, a quick jump off the wall.
Yeah, this is a bit of a precise one.
Yeah.
You have to get just high enough to get the height you need without being high enough to bonk the ceiling. There he goes. Is Shed still... Wow, that's what is that glide?
Glide vault. What a surprise. Okay. And
That's...
Eiko right now is going to an area that we haven't seen Shed go to yet, so just to check if he gets anything important from these 2 pickups right here.
Yeah, this is classified as swamp, so we know for a fact that the Sunstone won't be here, and Eiko was not rewarded for his efforts. This is an area that Shed will probably traverse when he goes to swamp, although with cleaned water, taking the bottom route to swamp is pretty appealing as well.
That's Charge Flame.
And Shed found Dash. We got simultaneous skill pickups. You can decide for yourselves which one is more impactful, but I'm going to vote for Dash since we already
given
have
that we have, and that's Charge Jump. And
Wow.
Sunstone should be somewhere nearby as well. Like, this area is just loaded with good pickups.
So, Lurking, if you're Shed, I have to imagine that with these skills, you're already thinking about potential go mode. I don't think we're quite there yet, but, like,
Yeah,
it's not too far. There's the Sunstone.
But yeah, like, he basically just needs... Actually, it could be go mode since he does have a left side teleporter.
Yeah, we got the Sorrow teleporter earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, it would just be a little annoying to traverse left side without Bash, but I think it is possible to finish the seed at this point for him if he has, Water Vein and just the resources he needs.
It probably is. There are just a few things that Shed is going to want to have, and thankfully Shed has enough to check just along the usual path. For example, he still has to hit a number of trees, including going to Swamp and Light Grenade.
Yeah, and he would more than likely... I'm not going to say more than likely, but he could very possibly find other stuff along his way that could be helpful.
Yeah, he absolutely could. Like, even going to Sorrow right now, having Charge Jump is nice. Having Climb Charge Jump would be even better. Having Feather is nice. Having Feather and Bash is even nicer than that. There's Climb. Now Sorrow is Very, very viable.
Yeah. And again, we're 2 more trees away from another clue for Shed. And he has 2 quick trees if he goes to Sorrow. He could basically get the charge jump tree, and I think he could backtrack through Sorrow straight to the Kura Rocks to stop
I
him.
think Shed is heading to Swamp next. We did see Shed intentionally leave behind one of the pickups in the middle of the Crushers and Grotto, which, for someone of his knowledge level and experience, he didn't forget about that pickup. You saw him dip over and just decide, nope, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to gamble that it's nothing, which means Shed is probably rushing trees, although I'm guessing he'll still check a number of, pretty quick things along the way, like this ability cell.
Like, the other XP in the Crusher is actually a very slow pickup, so it makes sense why he would skip it at this point. And again, he's just going to Swamp now because, easy access. Like, look at that perfectly executed, almost perfectly executed Swamp Entry.
Yeah, so as I said, Shed is still stalling. He isn't 100% in rush mode because there are still a number of skills. Bash, if we found Bash, that would be 1000% go mode. Stomp at this point is pretty much irrelevant with the proper sequence breaks.
And that's Valley Teleporter.
And actually, we mentioned this pretty much every seed, but that's because it's very, very commonly relevant. The Kuro kill plane in Valley isn't active if you don't have Stomp. So with the Valley TP, Shed could go to Sorrow first, or he could just go to Valley first, do some rocket jumps. Shed has a lot of options. And he got the Water Vein.
It's on their way. Okay, at this point, Shed could maybe start just rushing.
That's ridiculous looking. That's the Water Vein without a clue, even.
Yeah. It was just like, you literally cannot miss it in the seed.
Okay, I think Shed is going to be in go mode. He's going to go to Swamp first in order to hit the Ginso tree. He does have 7 keystones.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Ico
found Dash.
His dash, and just now he's also going to find everything else, like Charge Jump right here and Sunstone.
He is, but this is nice for Eiko. As before, he lost a lot of time in some of his traversals, so it's going to take Eiko some time to fully explore this area. He might even be going to the right side first, which means that he's not going to get the Sunstone immediately since Sunstone is over on the left.
I actually just noticed he only has 2 trees. He doesn't have the clue that Sunstone is in Grotto.
Yeah, that's because Eiko also didn't go to Blackroot, so even though Eiko is going to quickly catch up on skills, he's very far behind at this point as far as trees.
Yeah, it's Blackroot, this tree, Swamp, and Shed's all already halfway through the first part of Ginso to get to the dash tree. I mean Bash.
Looking at Shed's, or sort of assessing Shed's state right now, and just because I want to verify this out loud while we're commentating, does Shed need anything else to finish the seed? He would like Bash, of course, but does he need anything else?
I don't believe so. Like, knowing Shed, he has the execution. He knows how to get through different obstacles without Bash, and he has a good amount of health for the final escape if required a deboost. But yeah, it's just dashed a little bit too much.
Shed was charge dashing so aggressively he accidentally ate some spikes, and they were way too spicy for his liking. Some nice figure eights. Shed is still checking a few things. He might even continue checking these rooms. Like, even if he technically doesn't need anything, these checks are so fast, and finding something like a Bash pickup would just make the seed fast to free for someone of his level.
He's kind of doesn't care to the point where he doesn't even take the second or 2 to check the other pickup there. I think at this point he's just like, I just need to get.
Sorry, I want to pay attention. Sorry to interrupt. Okay, never mind. Shed missed that pickup, but it's just the Swamp TP, so it's fine.
Like, that will save. I'm not sure if Shed picked it up earlier. He did. So that's.
Oh wow!
Shed left that off.
Now, Shed has Climb and Charge Jump, which means that Stomp is going to be effectively irrelevant. The only other important usage of Stomp is getting left side of the map, but you can sequence break that with Bash, which we don't even have to do because we have not 1 but 2 left side teleporters.
Yeah, so Shed is just kind of clearing off the entirety of the right side, just to kind of have that 1 trip, clean everything on left side, and go finish the final escape.
Shed is deciding to go to Light Grenade first, which I think is a smart decision. As we said, Shed can do everything on the left side, and he certainly has the skill, the knowledge and execution, to be able to do so. But if he happens to luck into something like Bash, then hey, that's just pretty awesome.
Yeah, but at this point, like, I think the only pickups he will go out of, not really, like, not go out of his way, but, like, the pickups that he will get are the ones in Misty, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes Misty first, and another key on a tree.
That's pretty funny. The Gumon Seal, everyone's favorite dungeon key that is almost never relevant, but sometimes it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, like, they're not going to go to Forlorn. But
you'll have to tune in for future matches of the Ori and the Blind Forest 2018 Randomizer Tournament.
Definitely, that's something to look forward to. Like, that's a reason to watch the tournament. Imagine, like, seeing Forlorn. It never happens.
It happens more frequently with the Forlorn TP.
Well, yeah, but
it
not
used
through,
to be
like, Gumon Seal or route.
Eiko got his Sunstone on the left, backed out instantly rather than checking those other pickups. I don't recall if those other two pickups in that immediate zone were valuable. I hope not.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, this is what we talked about, though. You see Shed, he has double jump and wall jump. He has climb charge jump in order to simulate a stomp, and he has dash and probably charge dash at this point.
He does have charge dash.
Yeah.
He's just deciding to... I think he wanted to grenade jump through, but spam some C dashes, and yeah, he's basically at the tree.
That was really, really clever. Did Shed just do what I thought he did?
Where he C-dashed in the middle of the wall charge jump.
Yeah, so that's extremely clever, and to be quite honest, I hadn't seen that. For anyone unfamiliar, there are certain barricades you can break in this game with charge jump, and certain ones you can break with charge dash, and usually those ones are not the same, but there's a small bug in the game where when you do a charge jump, you can actually break out of the charge jump with a charge dash, and you get to effectively maintain your charge jumping state. You can use that to break walls that you didn't technically charge jump into. I think that's what Shed just did.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. He basically carried the
quote-unquote
momentum. Dude. Yeah, and now he's just
Sorry to interrupt. I'm just, that excites me. That's really cool.
Yeah. Some grenade jumps and rocket jumps combined. That was pretty cool, just to get up here and... Is he gonna throw Wilhelm off? No.
Nah. Shed was just taking a second. Those birds... Shed has enough health, but he's just like, I can take an extra few seconds, wreck the birds, and then get a nice, clean climb charge jump to make it through. Yeah. Look at Eiko, by the way.
Trying to, like, grenade jump.
Yeah, trying to do a grenade jump to the dash plant.
It's actually very interesting. I didn't know you could make it there, but let's see what it's going to be.
It's not. Wow. Okay, so if you look at Shed's skill wheel in the bottom right, he only has one tree to go, and it's Misty Woods. Shed has double jump. I don't think he has triple jump, but he does have double jump, and he has charge dashes, and I think he'll be skipping all pickups along the way. Yeah. Shed is in go mode.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Shed is basically one ability cell at this point from triple jump.
How did he just dodge that? Can you duck under that?
The shot?
Shed didn't take damage.
From
the shot.
What exactly? From the spitter shot?
Yeah.
I think you could dash under it. You could duck under it, but I didn't really watch what he did exactly. But yeah, you could duck under it. Yeah.
That was that was neat. I've learned at least 2 things this seed. So how's Eiko doing? Eiko is just now in Blackroot, or he's been in Blackroot for a little bit. Quickly approaching his dash tree, which for him will only be skill tree number 4, whereas Shed is almost done at skill tree number 11.
Yeah, and honestly, like, it's not like Eiko really played badly this seed. It's just Shed was just so efficient in everything he did.
Yeah, Eiko also had... That's gonna hurt.
Ow, he was right next to the tree.
That's a bad death for Shed. I don't know if he's going to be too worried, because to be honest, he's played cleanly enough that he probably knows that he can afford that death, but that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough.
But then again, like, for all he knows is he can't watch Eiko, so he might think that, like, yeah, Eiko's been playing just as well, so...
He might think that. He probably doesn't. I mean, Shed knows he has the execution advantage going in, and as you said, Eiko's been playing pretty cleanly, but has made some costly, arguable mistakes. Like Eiko wasted quite a bit of time in Valley Entry trying to get to the long swim, and also has taken a number of deaths that Shed hadn't until that point.
Yeah, that was, I think, the first real, like, serious unintentional death from Shed at this point, which is one of the costliest deaths you could take, but again,
there's the save.
He has that he has the leniency at this point to do it.
That's a sort of death in the seed that usually does not happen more than once. Assuming you have the energy to spare, which thankfully we do.
Yeah, this seed was kind of starved on energy, and then like Shed just kind of found 4 more energy cells in a row.
Well, here we go then. Shed is getting to climb. He has both the Water Vein and the Sunstone, which means that Shed is going to be rushing to the end at only 3306, I believe, was his 11th tree. So this is going to be probably a sub 40 seed for Shed if he doesn't have any problems in the final escape.
I mean, just to call something out, if you look exactly at what skills he doesn't have that might matter for the final escape, Bash and Stomp, Shed has ran Signless, Bashless, Stompless, so I would assume he's kind of familiar with that final escape.
It's probably going to require some grenade jumps, to be honest.
He doesn't have...
He can do grenade jumps.
Yeah, no, I was going to say he doesn't have Ultra Defense, because if he has Ultra Defense, he's not going to need that.
No, but I mean...
But yeah, he could do that as well.
You can come up with a laundry list of things that can kill you in the final escape. And we have videos on them. Clean water is not a factor because we have clean water, so there's going to be no damage there. This is clever.
He's gonna do the charging up the Bane Link. This is one of my favorite strats. It looks so good when it happens.
Mm-hmm. This is a rather obscure glitch in the game where these Banelings effectively store the force applied to them, and then when they get activated, that force gets applied immediately. It takes somewhere between 15 and 20 shots, and then that happens. It's pretty amusing if you've never seen it before.
You just randomly see him fly across the screen, and it's amazing.
Oh, wow. So while Shed is quickly approaching the end, thank you to Smashy for bringing this up. I should have realized, and I didn't. Eiko never found Feather. So he did successfully make it out of Sorrow, but he doesn't have Feather, and he's still on 1 energy, so he can't even rocket jump.
That is true. I did not...
Oh, no. Did you see that death?
Yeah, that was almost as bad as Shed's, if not even worse than Shed's death. That was
I don't know if it was... I don't know if it was worse. It was certainly bad. At least Eiko just has to go down through this area. This time I'm guessing Eiko will stop along the way for some energy if he didn't do it before.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Shed got first try door warp, and he's ready to escape.
These rough deaths are they're pretty sad, but they're also understandable. I mean, Eiko doing this without energy. Wow, that's an energy cell. That's fortunate.
Yeah. That's the thing, like, they couldn't really, at least for Eiko, he couldn't have prevented it because he couldn't have safety save. He didn't have energy.
Well, nice job by Eiko there. I think the Wilhelm Frog killed it. That was a sort of unusual way to break the rocks.
He did break the Wilhelm. And now Shed's just kind of, he already had 1 death in the final escape. So he's just going to jump up there and C-dash a few times. Get up that.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. This is one of the difficult rooms. Yep, nice job. That's one of the good ways to do it when charge jump is in your arsenal, is just take an intentional damage boost and then charge jump right on past.
Yeah, and Shed was very lucky that I'm not going to say lucky, but it's very good for him that he did have clean water, because he actually didn't have enough health to live there if he didn't.
Alright, that's going to be the last obstacle for Shed getting around there. He could soft lock on this final escape, but I don't think that he will.
Yeah.
Nope, there he is.
Try grenade jump, and that's a GG for Shed.
That'll be sub 38. Yeah. So GG to him. Eiko won't know that he's lost until he sees it in SRL, assuming that he does look at SRL. At this point, though, Eiko is still doing okay. I mean, he's significantly behind Shed, but he's going to just sort of continue searching pickups. If I had to guess right now, Eiko is probably going to continue around this long route, this outer swamp path, if you want to call it that. Check a few more pickups, because Eiko doesn't know where the water vein is.
Yeah.
Actually, he already came here. My bad.
Yeah, he did come. I think he might have just decided to open the door and then just go to Stomp Tree. Yeah.
Well, Eiko doesn't have... No, he does have Climb. Never mind. Just don't listen to me. Apparently, I'm not paying attention.
You only missed Glide, which... Do you remember where it was exactly?
I can check the pickup document, but Sigma and Smashy are just way on top of it.
It was in the Glide Vault, thanks to Sigma with the instant information. But yeah, also for Eiko, at this point, he kind of has all the skills he needs, almost, so... He's behind on trees, but at this point, he could potentially get all the trees he needs. He's in semi-go mode, I would say.
Eiko's also going to get his water vein for free. at
Yeah.
Stomp, but he's going to go and swim underwater first, which is reasonable. This water swim is something that doesn't come up too frequently in rando seeds, and the reason is that without clean water, it requires usually a ton of health and ultra defense to even attempt it, never mind that it's a bit of a time sink. But it's still 4 or 5 pickups, depending on how thorough you are.
Yeah, and I think it's just... Yeah, he's probably going to check all of them at this point. That's the death. Okay, he just... When he went to the right, I thought he was going to say, okay, screw that, I'm just going to go to the tree, but he decided to come back.
Eiko is nothing if not persistent. Eiko has a few options here, so he clearly decided to come back down and check the remaining pickups. With only 1 well, he has, I think, a capacity for 2 energy now, but he only has 1 right now. Yeah. Eiko could decide to make some saves, or he could decide to intentionally not save in order to death warp back up top.
Yeah, I don't expect him to save, but he might just want to be like completely certain that he does get every pickup. There's probably just... He's probably only going to get the map stone still.
Has to wait for a moment
to go back around to the like further one.
No, he won't do that. He'll just reload.
Yeah. He's gonna reload, get the stomp tree, and he's gonna find his water vein. And I think at that point he's gonna realize, like, yeah, he could probably start rushing.
Shed doesn't, Eiko, excuse me, doesn't have feather, so he is gonna have a harder time of everything than Shed did. Double jump and triple jump, once you get it, can be a pseudo replacement for glide, not a full replacement, but it can help in some thorny spots.
Yeah, but again, I also think like Eiko will be able to transverse without glide, even though it will be annoying. And again, I do not expect him to ever go back to Grotto to find glide again.
No, at this point that wouldn't make sense. Not when he has the left side available.
He's just gonna go to left side.
Well, he can go left side immediately. He might decide to do the same thing that Shed did, which is go to the swamp teleporter and head to the Ginso tree with his fresh new shiny water vein.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Lurking, I think I will mute myself for just a moment. I want to double check with Shed if you would like to chat with us while we continue keeping an eye on Eiko.
All right. So I guess while Grim does that, Eiko did decide to actually just go to Ginso to just kind of clear out the right side and then head back to left. Same decision that Shed did. So I think we're still talking to Shed, and he might be here soon, but either way, Eiko is just going to climb here. As far as I remember, there really weren't any important pickups in Ginso, so he's probably just going to rip through it. More than likely not go to anything else, just go straight to the tree and then...
It could be the case that Eiko's looking for glide, but that would be about the only... Well, glide or bash, of course. Also nice sort of adapted telehops. Anyway. Yeah. Okay, there's Shed. Hey, Shed.
Yo.
Sorry, I told you I was pulling you into the channel, and then I didn't, so sorry about that.
I've been bamboozled.
You have been bamboozled. Thankfully, you weren't nearly as bamboozled by the seed, so GG.
Thank you.
That was very well played by you. Like, the whole seed was very clean and very efficiently done.
Except Misty. We won't talk about Misty.
What happened, Misty?
I may have forgotten I didn't have Bash and decided that the frog's face was where Ori needed to be.
Okay, so it's not like you kind of... It's like you forgot what you had or didn't have instead of like, an actual...
Muscle memory kind of thing.
Yeah. Either way, it was a rough death, but at the end it really didn't make a difference.
Thankfully.
Shed, I want to ask you what's maybe an obvious question, but I want to ask it anyway. When were you in full-on go mode? When were you comfortable finishing the seed with your current skills?
I was thinking about this the entire way through, and honestly, like, on the fall down into Grotto, when I got those 3 skills right in a row, glide, dash, charge jump, I was immediately like, I can finish the seed now. I know how to do most everything with the set of skills I have. But I'm just going to keep checking a few things here and there. And then when I found the Valley Teleporter, that's when I was like, all right, we're skipping everything. Let's just go.
Yeah, I think I would have made the same decision.
Yeah, because at that point you had every skill but dash and stomp, which again, stomp was pointless at that point since you had climb, charge, jump. So you're basically only missing bash.
Yep, and I'm fairly comfortable with bashless. I have done many seeds that did not find bash and have had a lot of practice with it.
I have a specific question for you, Mr. Shed. My question is, when you went into Valley Entrance, you briefly opened up the long swing with the grenade and then didn't go there.
That was a callback.
I was going to say, like, well, that's my question.
That was me acknowledging that I know I can do this, but I'm going to ignore it on purpose.
You're just playing with the fans a little bit.
We got like excited when he opened. It's like he's actually going to check it, and then he just kind of kept going to the right.
Nah, it's too long. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
I also have to say, one more specific. This isn't even like a question, so I'm a bad interviewer. But you pulled a trick in Sorrow where, because you didn't have stomp, you did a charge jump off the wall using climb and then immediately charge dashed into it. Is that something that you've done before in that particular instance?
Oh yeah, that's like,
yeah,
that's pretty common for me to do that. Like, there's a lot of ways to break that wall. Charge jump dash is, as you saw, like the easiest. Of course, you have to know that you can do that, but yeah, there's a couple spots in the game where you can sort of extend your wall charge charge jump like that.
Well, I'm glad that you remembered it. Lurking, what other questions do you have for Shed?
Nothing really specific, but I guess the generic question. What do you think of your next round, given that you're 2-0 now and almost guaranteed brackets? You just need one more win.
It's a weird mix of like comfortable and terrified, because everyone at 2-0 is terrifying, and yet I'm like, I've got 3 rounds to get 1 win, so I'm pretty comfortable that I'm gonna make it to brackets, which is where I want to be.
Yeah, and I guess another question from the set of people who are already 2-0, who would you want to face the most?
Oh man. I'd have to look at the actual full set. What I most want to face.
It could be hard to remember all the runners and all their records.
I know, there's so many.
It's only going to get worse as the tournament goes on as far as being able to remember people's records on the fly.
I guess while you're checking for that, I guess we should call out that Eiko only has the climb tree left, but without glide, he is having a little bit of trouble transferring things through Misty, but luckily he did do safety saves before the areas that gave him trouble.
Yeah, Eiko is going to need some more energy if he wants to make additional safety saves. He's kind of close to a level up, but probably not close enough that he can rely on it. And Eiko realizes Eiko did also find an extra air dash pickup a little bit earlier, which maybe he'll be able to use to make it through some of these areas, but it's still a bit precise as far as the movement is concerned.
Yeah, and especially like just not having glide, not being able to save, and he doesn't have that much health either, so he really can't take much damage, and it's very difficult to avoid it.
Shed, I'll ask you one more question before we let you go and focus back on Eiko. My question is, are there any areas of your randomizer play where you feel you have some deficiencies, like any specific tricks you're not familiar with that you want to be? Anything like that?
There's a couple like really obscure tricks that I definitely think that if I knew, I could speed up my play. The first one that comes to mind is like the frog micro ledge in Sorrow. I don't want to learn that one, but it's possible that doing so would definitely help me out.
God, let's hope not.
I know a lot of ways to break that ceiling, and that is like the only one that I don't know how to do easily.
Cool. Well, thank you for talking with us. GG on your victory. That's, like I said, it was hard to come up with questions because you just played it very, very cleanly.
Thank you.
Yeah. GG again, and great job on the game.
Yes. Eiko is still, of course, playing his game, making it partway through Misty. He made it past some of the trickier spots, though. This is another tricky spot. Now he has some energy, though, so he'll be able to make safety saves.
And, like, very good decision by him, but for waiting to be able to save, just to go up to 5 health where he could take 2 damage, and it looks like he just wants to wait to just save again. He doesn't want to, like, have the risk of just constantly having to go back.
I think the extra air dash proved pretty valuable. Yeah. Eiko was able to use the extra air dash, not in this room, but in one of the other rooms with a even longer S-bend to make it through. There he goes.
And he also just managed to get Ultra Defense, which will definitely help him a little bit in the final escape.
Mm-hmm. Eiko doesn't have Bash. Shed also, of course, doesn't have Bash. So going into the final escape, Eiko is going to have effectively the same challenges presented to him that Shed did. Having that extra charge flame is not going to make much of a difference since the walls can just be charge dashed anyway. Not having Feather also probably won't matter too much with double air dash, but it'll be a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, with triple jump and double air dash, I don't think Feather will make much of a problem. And also, again, the Ultra Defense will help him a little bit in the elemental room.
It will, which is good because Eiko still doesn't have that much health. He'll be able to damage boost once, maybe twice, if he also has a bit of a hidden health regen, but I don't recall whether he does.
Yeah, I believe he does, but then again, it's really hard to remember every pickup that they've gotten.
Health regen is very, very gradual. So I'm like watching his health meticulously.
Well, he did heal up to full now, so we cannot tell.
Well, I mean, you get a full heal on the escape anyway. It's just... For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, health regen usually isn't valuable as far as getting full health, cells back. You could just wait a long time, but it effectively gives you fractions of health, which means that if you have 6 health and you take 3 damage from touching fire, ordinarily you can only survive 2 hits, right? But with just a fraction of health left, you can actually survive 3 hits. If Eiko has health regen, I don't know that he does, though.
Like, in a way, you could consider it like an extra health cell where he could take that 1 extra damage take more than usual, but it doesn't exactly work like that. But
Nice
either
first
way,
try to warp.
yeah, first try to warp and on to the final escape.
Here's where it all matters. Eiko's going to have a harder time ahead of him, as we said, than Shed did. Also, I appreciate Shed showing us the prologue. This game does have a prologue, even though we never see it in the speedruns, because as speedrunners, we don't have time for lore.
Yeah, I'm just like watching that. It's just like, it's beautiful. Too bad we never get to see it, but the prologue is definitely beautiful. Either way, Eiko, so far, I think the only real challenging room for him will be the elemental room. So up to that point, shouldn't be too bad. That room, Shed also took a death on, so...
Well, Eiko is knowledgeable enough. You saw him immediately try to jump off to the left. His positioning was just very slightly off. There's a spot you can land here, which he'll have to do another time, where you can do a charge jump and a triple jump. Maybe a double jump does the trick, and then do a series of dashes and charge dashes to make it up there without bash. It's a very common strategy for making it through that room bashless.
Yeah, he is trying to go from the lower ledge, which is what he didn't get a fight, but now he got up there, and as long as the lava doesn't kill him, he should be through. Yeah.
But as you said, this is the hard room. I'm guessing he'll be using charge flame to break this, but he can use charge dash as well.
I think he wants a grenade jump.
He can.
This is what it feels like he's trying to do. Yes.
Now this fire might be creeping up. Eiko does need to be careful to not take any damage, because he can currently survive 1 hit, but not 2, and this elemental is just giving him grief.
It's so annoying how he like aggro's that far away from you, and if you go high enough, you might bonk the ceiling, but... Oh, that area is...
Yeah, everything's on fire. If you wait too long in the escape, the game has sort of a fail-safe built in place where the floor just spontaneously sets on fire, which I guess is thematically appropriate. It's a mechanism designed to keep you moving. However, it does not extend infinitely up, so there are spots like where Eiko was sitting on the wall where you can just survive infinitely, but then, of course, you're kind of screwed when you inevitably have to drop back down.
Yeah. So at this point, like, Eiko is just kind of trying to get through it. I think for him, I don't want to say nerves, but I think it's kind of like it hurts at this point where, like, you're already behind and you're struggling to finish the seed or like with the final escape. So it gets progressively more difficult the more attempts you take at it. So
close. The other thing is in that particular room, on top of just having to avoid the fire and do some precise movement, there is a ticking time bomb in the form of the big angry owl named Kuro. And if you wait too long, you will be killed with certainty.
He's deciding to go from the other side where he could actually jump onto some safety spikes from the left and then do like the series of charge dashes from there. I guess he just wasn't comfortable with the Kuro over there, so he just wants to do like kind of a safer strat.
For anyone who's familiar with Ori, or anyone who may be tuning into the stream and has never watched Ori Rando before, there's a particular emote which I think Eiko needs in order to be able to do this. It's called Ori Take. God, I hope it's called Ori Take before I said that out loud, and it's not. It is? Okay, I need everyone to spam Ori Take so that Eiko has some energy. Or it's called Take Cell or something like that.
There is a Take Cell, there is an Ori Take.
Okay.
We have multiple like giving energy because we like to do that. We like telling people. Either
I
way,
may have just led everyone astray, but whoops, my bad. Yeah, so Eiko does have some options. He can use the Climb Charge Jump to break this. He can use Charge Flame, which he's done. He can also just use Charge Dashing. The thing that's killing Eiko literally here is not breaking the barricade. It's that he's not doing it fast enough to be able to damage boost and then Charge Jump out of it.
Yeah. But I think, like, I would not be surprised if he tries to not go for that grenade jump anymore. You know, just kind of strategy after strategy. We'll see what he does at this attempt. He is... that wall is very slippery. If you don't get up there fast, it's very difficult to, like, recover it.
If anyone needed proof that this final escape sequence is challenging even for speedrunners, this is your proof. Granted, you're supposed to have more skills than this, but even so.
Yeah, like, it isn't really easy. Like, as much as we do practice it, as much as speedrunners are quote-unquote good at it, well, it's still difficult.
I want to interrupt, and maybe you said this already, so I apologize if I'm repeating what you said, but Eiko is actually being pretty clever in the fact that he broke one of the floors in the first room and then jumped around, and the reason he did that was to prevent Kuro spawning. I think you may have already said that. I
actually thought he was doing the spikes. I kind of worded it differently. Well, I thought he was going to try to land on the spikes, but yeah, it's the same idea. But I think at this point he feels more comfortable.
I mean, the final escape is a series of triggers. Some of the triggers spawn Kuro, some of the triggers make Kuro go away. So in that first room, Kuro spawns, and then Kuro is spawned. And the trigger, to despawn Kuro is breaking the floor. Nice charge jump there. Yeah, so Eiko was just circumventing a few of them.
Yeah, I think he just received the energy that we gave him, and that's why he just got through.
I agree.
Actually, that's completely skills. Let's not take credit for what he did.
Yeah, Eiko's taking his time with Charge, Flame, and just to get rid of some of those. With no Feather, he's going to have to be a little bit more precise. That's probably...
Okay,
he still didn't spawn Kuro. I can't believe it.
He is fine. Great job by Eiko. He just has the final grenade jump. Hopefully no soft locks.
Let's hope for no soft locks. If he does, he has to immediately reload the game and do all of that again.
Yeah. And that's going to be a first try.
Careful with this.
He dashed straight into that.
This is a soft lock.
Okay, it still worked.
It's not. I mean, I'm happy it's not, to be clear.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
Sometimes we notice that if you dash straight into the wall and then grenade jump, that increases the chances of soft locking, but you don't always do it. So thankfully he did not, and he is almost done. He just has to hold right for a few seconds.
Eiko's the professional here.
Yeah, he knows more about grenade jumps than anyone. That was perfect.
Let's just take a moment to all reflect on the beauty of the scene on shed screen. Just Nara looking off at the moon for some reason rather than going and taking care of her child.
Yeah, there's tree man in the back staring at you.
Yeah, so Eiko's holding, right? Simultaneous Naru isn't something you see every single day. There we go. Final time of 55:53 for Eiko.
Yep, GG. Despite all that happened, 55 minutes Rainbow Seed is still a really solid time, so it was very well played. The final escape was rough, but Bashless final escape is, it's a pain.
Yeah, we have a bit of time as well for Eiko, so Eiko's gonna pop in. Hey, Eiko.
Yo.
Hi.
Before asking any specific questions, I just want to ask you, how did you feel about that seed? Do you have any thoughts you want to express?
Seed was fine. I played like garbage and got a garbage time.
I wouldn't call 55 garbage, but...
Yeah.
Wait. Go ahead, Graham.
I want to talk about something that maybe you don't want to talk about, but I'm going to bring it up anyway, which is that long swim in Valley. You decided to back out of there. Is that something that you've ever attempted to do without Stomp or Charge Jump or something?
I think I might have... No, I don't actually think I've ever done it with that skill set. I didn't know if it was possible.
For what it's worth, I didn't know either.
Yeah, it's really difficult. Like, you don't really think of it that far. Like, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go get the pickup, and then you completely forget about that little obstacle, and it's really hard to think about them until it happens.
I don't have visual memory. I thought there was an overhanging that wasn't there that let you get over the area with double jump, but there wasn't. And then after like my third attempt, the thing didn't crush me, or like I wasn't even getting close enough to get crushed, which was the point at which I realized that it probably wasn't possible.
Yeah.
Well, Eiko, tell me about your practice a little bit. Have you been practicing rando seeds in any particular way?
No, because I can't play that much because my hands are really messed up. I played like 1 or 2 seeds this week in like preparation. Actually, no, I lost count. It was probably more like 5 or 6, which is a lot for me. But it was mostly just trying, practicing checking areas I didn't think Shed would check, because that was the only way I thought I would win. And that turned out not to be very viable this seed because all the good stuff was in one place. I'm pretty sure I got there later.
It was all pretty central.
Yeah. And I guess another question that I have is like, what are you gonna take from the seed towards your future races? Like, what do you think you need to work on, change, do the same?
I am not going to like execution, but I can't practice.
Yeah, I guess
I don't really got anything for you there.
That is totally fine. So, Grim, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I want to end on a positive note because I understand how frustrating it can be to face a seed like that. What is your favorite experimental pickup that you've created in some of your versions of the rando?
Gravity swap's pretty funny. It's busted though.
Yeah, it was fun to play with, definitely.
Well, you know what, Eiko, you finished out strong even if the seed didn't go exactly as you wanted it to, and you're going to be 1-1. So with 3 matches remaining, you need to win 2 of them to make it to the bracket, and I'm going to send you all of my energy when you have those matches.
Thanks, definitely. Good luck. Very much good luck with your next matches. And yeah. I guess that will be it for us for now. So, Grim, do you want to tell us what we have tomorrow? I heard tomorrow is like a big day.
Yeah, actually, the weekends in Ori tournaments time are always very, very busy, and this weekend is no exception. There are a total of 14 matches this weekend. I actually counted them before the stream started. 9 of which are tomorrow. The first one tomorrow is going to be between Skull and OG. Interestingly, the 2 losers to our 2 runners that just played, those guys are going to be playing each other tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and we're not going to list out every other match, but starting at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow is a pretty huge block of 9 matches spread out throughout the day.
Yeah, basically from 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. Eastern, we have almost back-to-back races, maybe with a few breaks in between. So anytime you come into Speed Gaming, you will find Ori. So I hope that you guys watch more races and enjoy them.
Yeah. Otherwise, that'll about do it for us today. Thank you to Richard for restreaming. Richard is such a god restreamer. Like, you can't see this on stream, but he actually gives us like enlarged and magnified boxes to help us out. Richard is great.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, we also had Smashy and Sigma helping out on tracking, and of course, Lurking. It was fun commentating with you.
Yep, it was definitely fun. Thank you, Grim, and thank you everyone else. I guess we will see you tomorrow. Have a great night.